Welcome to Back to School Night. My name is Brian Yoshida. Obviously, I teach mathematics here, and my email address is listed down here, byoshida@ggus.us. So if you ever need to get a hold of me, that's the email address you'll use. You can also find that at our school website, gghs.us, and that's it for that page. Just a little bit of history about me. I actually graduated from Garden High School way back in 1983. I then went to Cal Poly Pomona. I received my electrical engineering degree in 1988, and I decided to become a teacher. So then I started going to Cal State Fullerton. I received my teaching credential in 1990, and 2 years later, I received my master's in math education at Cal State Fullerton. I've been teaching at Garden High School since 1990. This makes my 31st year. Some of my hobbies and things I do off on the side, I fly fish, love fly fishing. I coach tennis here. I love golfing, hiking, biking, and I'm also a youth pastor at Calvary Chapel Living Water here in Garden Grove. This is my schedule. I have 4 Calculus AB classes and 1 BC class, and 6 periods my conference period and when I help out with tennis. So the course objective, basically it's really to get an understanding of college calculus, and a lot of it too in calculus is learning how to really study for math. A lot of students come in liking to memorize formulas, memorize steps, and in calculus I really try to teach them to understand concepts, why they're doing what they're doing. And that's very important because if they just memorize things, they will not do well in here. So critical thinking skills and study skills and learning how to study for college courses. Now with this distance learning and not meeting every day, in order to get all the materials in time and prepare them for the AP test, I am screencasting lessons. So even on the days where they're not in my class, I will have screencasts prepared for them that they need to watch. It'll be on YouTube. I might move it to a website called Edpuzzle. Still debating that. And this grade will count towards their formative grade. Homework, pretty much every night they should be working on homework. Even if I don't assign anything, they need to spend the time learning and understanding and going over concepts until they really completely understand it, because there's a lot of little details that you don't see at first glance. And so it's important for them to be spending time each night on it, at least an hour every day, either studying or doing homework. As far as tests, we give a test at the end of each chapter. The important part, at the end of the semester, our finals will consist of actually 3 days of finals, 3 separate tests. And it's comprehensive over the whole semester. And each student, here's the good news, will be able to replace one of their previous test grades with their corresponding final grade if they did not if they did test corrections on that test. So for example, say on the chapter 3 test they just had a bad day and they had a 40% on it. On their final, on the chapter 3 final, if they were to get a 90% on the final, I would replace their original chapter 3 test with a 90, and also on top of that, on their final they would receive a 90. And so this does a couple things. It encourages students after they finish a test to make sure to go back and review the things they did not understand, and plus it gives them just an incentive just to continue working hard. And the one thing about that also is this test, every chapter is dependent on the previous chapter. everything builds upon previous materials, so it's important not to fall behind. And if there's a test that you do not do well on, to go back over that and make sure you understand it, or you will have trouble with the next chapter. Some of these rules here I have are for when we come back. It says during tests, everything except pencil, eraser, and calculator must be placed in a back table. Obviously, that doesn't happen when we're doing distance learning. And the cell phone situation, kind of the same thing. You're not supposed to have a cell phone on you during testing times or any other electronics. And if someone is caught cheating, they receive a 0 and referral for cheating. And no bathroom breaks in the middle of a test, so students should use the restroom prior to when we start taking the test. And quizzes. So quizzes will be given randomly throughout the semester. Some of them will be announced, some of them not announced. The idea of not announcing quizzes is to make sure the students are keeping up, not falling behind, and learning the materials. So that's the quizzes situation. So homework is 10% of the grade, and then tests are 70%. Now this one I probably should have adjusted. Quizzes, notes, also watching the screencast that I post on YouTube, that's all part of the 20% grade, which we call the summative. And after we average all those together, pretty standard, if you're in the 90s you have an A, 80s B, 70s C, 60s D, and anything below that is an F. Now I have basic rules. I think students pretty much know what is right or wrong. Students are expected to be responsible, respectful, expected to be in class on time. As far as the food and drinks, when we're in my classroom, no food and drinks are allowed except water. Obviously, when they're distance learning, that's fine. I don't mind that. And the general rule, if you're not sure if you should do something, you probably shouldn't do it. Cell phones while we're in class are only allowed for math purposes. And if a student is caught using their phone for purposes other than math, I'll pretty much ban them from using the phone for the rest of the year for any reason, math or obviously non-math things. Now, makeup work. So students need to learn some responsibility. So if they miss a day, it's their responsibility to find out what happened. It's their responsibility to find out if we had a quiz or an assignment or what happened, and they have as many days as they were absent to make up a quiz or turn in the assignment. So that is just the makeup situation. They need to take the ownership and find out what they missed. I don't always remember who was absent the previous day, and I'm not going to remember to remind everyone of what was happening, so it's on the student to remember those things, or not to remember but to ask. And extra credit. So extra credit will be given for doing test corrections. So after each test, they have an opportunity to come in and fix the problems they got wrong, and so they get extra credit for that. They can also earn extra credit for having study sessions. So depending on how this year plays out, we'll either be having some online study sessions, or if we're back in school, possibly in my classroom, but that's also, they have opportunities to get extra credit there. And the way it works, if they take advantage of every extra credit opportunity that I offer, at the end of the semester their grade will go up by 1%. And this is to help borderline grades for those that get like 89.4 or 89.9 and they want the higher grade. I don't round up, so that will boost their grade. So basically what happens at the end of the semester, if someone's borderline, I look at their extra credit. If they've done the extra credit, I will boost the borderline grades up 1%. And so that's how the extra credit works. And also, if they're not doing their homework, I don't think they should get extra credit. So they have to have at least 75% of their homework points to be eligible for extra credit. So that's that. In tutoring, pretty much most days after school, I'll have an hour office hour for extra help. And so I pretty much post that each day to let them know when I'm available. And that's pretty much it. And thank you for listening to this back to school night presentation. Bye.